We're over in r/best of Redditor updates with our final story by originally Tracksuit Tirade. Neighbors disfigured my trees and bushes. Claim previous owner gave them permission? Yo. They originally posted in r/legal advice. Let's see. I moved this month to Washington State, and my yard borders windows of the neighboring property. The neighbor's yard is on the other side of their house, so their kitchen and living room, plus one of their upstairs bedroom, and from what I can best ascertain, the window to a study, are pressed right against the dividing line property between the two yards, which is a small stone path. Along the edge of my property, but not overlapping with the divider, which a surveyor has verified as accurate when we were buying the home, we have 3 black walnut trees and 4 bushes. We're not 100% sure of what they are, but sending pictures to a botanist friend and asking the internet, the best guess is they're honey locusts. Okay. About a week after we moved in, the new neighbors approached us and said the previous tenant had promised to trim the trees because they blocked the view out of their windows. Yeah, why do you want to look into my house, you creep? I called the previous owner and he said he promised nothing of the sort, and half the reason he planted the bushes along the existing tree line was because the neighbors complained about his cookouts in the yard, making them feel as though they had to draw their curtains for privacy, which they didn't like. So the bushes were essentially a privacy hedge. The previous owner did just move into assisted living for dementia patients though, so I am waiting to get double confirmation from his daughter. We told her sorry, but no, both because the trees provide nice shade, and without the bushes on the lower level, they'd be able to see directly into our house and vice versa. You know, they're creeps. We went away for the weekend and found 5 large branches and a dozen smaller branches missing from our trees, exactly where their windows were blocked. The trees looked hideous and diseased now because these giant bald patches and no longer provided privacy or adequate shade. Yo, man. One of our bushes was completely gone. 2 others crudely uprooted from the ground and unsalvageable. The neighbor said the black walnut trees had been there since he moved in 60 years ago, and the bushes had been in 15 years. Yo, lying-ass neighbor, man. I figured I was screwed because we don't have security cameras or anything to prove they did this. But as a last-ditch attempt, I sent them an email asking if they knew what had gone on, to which they had the audacity to reply as though they'd done us a favor. Their exact words: "Yes, we decided it was unfair for you to shoulder the burden of the previous owner's unfinished business. So we went ahead and had a crew take care of it out of our own pocket this weekend. No need to thank us. Merry early Christmas." Somebody's house will be on fire. I'm irate, especially because I bought my girlfriend a bench swing for one of the trees for Christmas, something she's always talked about having. The trees were not crossing their property line, and the bushes were solidly within our property as well. As aforementioned, there's a small dividing stone pathway between the 2 properties, but I also have a recent official survey done just before we moved in. Do I have any recourse, even though they've contorted it to sound like it was a favor? Much appreciated. Yo, you asking this illegal advice, you should be asking how to get away with murder. I'm doing too much. I am definitely on 10 with this. If you're listening and you forgot who I am, hi, I'm Mr. Always on 10. Yo, since we're in Best of Redditor updates, they've pulled the comments for us, and I cannot pick and choose which comments that I want to read from, mostly because these stories are usually deleted and go on to the nether realm. So, a downvoted commenter comments Anything that overhangs their property is fair game. They have all rights to trim it back to the property line. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But cut the trees, cut the branches all the way to the trees, uproot bushes that's not on their property at all. Come on, it's been there for 15 years. They're just trying these people because they're fresh, they're new, and the neighbors are probably old as shit. If they've been there for over 15 years, then those neighbors have been there for over 15 years, so they're old. These are old, entitled fucking losers. The original OP replies to this dumbass comment. None of it hung over their property or even the stone pathway dividing us. It was right up against the edge of the divider, but did not cross the divider. We checked all this out when they made their initial complaint in case they had merit in asking they be trimmed. The bushes were set even further onto our property. And that's why you got downvoted to shit. RTK9. Oh, we got usernames for these commenters. That downvoted commenter must have deleted their account. RTK9 comments. You have it in writing that they've damaged your property against your will. Get an arborist out to evaluate the health of the trees, how much it will take to treat and care for them, to replace the bushes, etc. Get survey maps that show they're on your property. Get photographs, as you can, from the previous owners to prove the prior condition of the trees. Sue them in court and nail their asses to the wall. If they're willing to pull these shenanigans this early into being neighbors, they're going to keep doing it if you don't assert your own rights to your own property. Spitting. It's no big thing replies to that. Adding to this, I believe black walnut is highly valuable timber. You can get a price for the wood that was taken away too. Ooh. Yo, these companies be getting over. I know for a fact they be making stuff with this wood that they be finessing from these Karen ass people. That's why the other story, they had that $2 million policy maxed out when 1.5 million came a knocking because they had dealt with some other shit in the past. OP replies to it's no big thing. Yikes. I'll get an arborist to check things out. Thanks. Thanks. And Spy Girl 43 drops a comment. I'd also file a police. Do I know how to talk, you guys? I'd also file a police report, but after the report, by the arborist. They came onto your property and destroyed part of it. Shit, I would add to that and start recording anytime you even run into those neighbors. You need more evidence, right? OP replies to Spy Girl, consider filing a police report, but wanted to wait until I heard more from the sub. Now I'm glad I waited. I reached out to a couple arborists and am seeing who can get here soonest. Thanks. They're saying thanks with exclamation points. I don't want to scream into the microphone now. Oh, you know what? I turned down the audio. I completely forgot I did because it was thunderstorming outside a minute ago. Updates. 19 days later, I consulted 3. I'll just hit my watch. Separate arborists officially, plus had an arborist friend check things over unofficially. That makes 4, baby. Yeah. The uprooted bushes were honey locusts, and the branches cut from the black walnut were valuable timber. It was also determined that since the bushes and trees were acting as privacy barriers and no longer serve that purpose, that I will require extra compensation to come up with a means of a new privacy barrier. It was initially going to be $2,300 for the missing honey locusts, $1,600 for the first uprooted one, and $1,800 for the second one. Ooh, then, sweet Jesus. Then we got to the issue of the black walnut trees. One was cut in such a way that it was permanently damaged and will likely have to be removed, so costing them $17,000. The next deemed to have lost enough lumber to be worth $4,000, and the final one, $2,500. This was the initial decision. There were just a few more steps before everything was finalized. But then we had 2 arborists at this point. The first one and then the second opinion. Then the third. The first we ever called, who had came highly rated but was unable to get to us anytime soon. Had a cancellation and got in contact. We figured, why not? Anything to fortify our case. He comes and looks and observes our trees have been afflicted by 1,000 canker disease. and they'll all have to be removed. And they may have even exposed other old, vulnerable trees on our property that the neighbors didn't even touch to this disease. The first arborist had raised the concern, and a kind Redditor user, Thermophile Dash, had even written about the condition after my initial posting, but no one caught it until this arborist, as it was still in its early stage. All told, 3 other, less valuable, trees on my property had to come down. All black trees had to come down, and not only do they owe me $158,000, they'll be charged with criminal trespassing. Yeah. Now, I didn't want to be a horrible, vindictive person and target an elderly couple over a dispute like this, so I asked around to other people in the neighborhood and asked what their experience had been with these neighbors. Resoundingly, they said, "Do it. Press charges." Apparently, in the years they've lived here, they've called the police on kids having a lemonade stand for a lack of permit to run a business, called ICE twice on a Filipino family on the road, and has similar weird disputes to this one they had with me over plants and lawn ornaments. It appears they'll have to sell their house to pay me, and they won't be missed. Thank you for all the advice. Yo, OP, man. OP, OP, OP. I love it. You got the nuisances out of the neighborhood. What? Ah, man. Let's see the top comment by Hoverbutts. When all the neighbors said, "Do it," scorched earth and salt it after for good measure, you know it's been bad. Yeah. Why you calling ice on fucking ugh? And this is old too, mind you. So this is like this is pre-Trump. This is during Biden's administration. Huh. Dirty. Yeah, this is a dirty ass couple. Old ass people. They ain't never been kicked in their life. Should have kicked them in their shins. That's what should have been the payment right there. $158,000 and kicking their ass in the shins. Ah, my shin splints. Ah. Ooh. Yennefer, spelled in a really weird way, replies to Hoverbutts. Sounds like the whole neighborhood has been waiting for them to take something a step too far and get their comeuppance. Here's hoping they actually did. Ooh. And carbonatite. Replies to Yennefer. Never underestimate the power of tree law. Yo, with that and the ever coming and leaving thunderstorms, I'm going to end this episode out with, don't let your neighbors fuck with you. Always, always, always get cameras to have a 360-degree field of vision around your property that notify you when someone comes onto your property that is not connected to some loser billion-dollar company like Amazon or Flock. And respect nature. I've been your host, Mr. Always on 10, and I would like to thank you, beautiful, wonderful, intelligent people. And you need to be educated, idiotic people. I want you to have a beautiful, wonderful day, night, week, month, and year. Bye.